Yes.
Well, I'm up here. There's no takers today, so.
Yes. Vikram can take the other chair. You are living tonight?
Yeah, tonight.
Now tell me about it. When did you start coming here first?
To see you?
Yeah, when you start coming to me first?
The first time I came was in '96.
I see, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
What brought you here then, do you remember? At that time you were doing more or less what you are doing now?
In what way?
In your daily living?
No, not really. I was more in traveling a bit, and I was sort of...
settled down now?
Yeah, now I'm more settled down and more integrated into life a little bit more. And back then I think I was with Papaji at that time.
I see. I see. That's right. With the Papaji background.
Yeah.
I see.
And then I came to see you, and I loved what you were saying, and it was, for me, I didn't see any contradiction in any of it.
I see.
And
if someone asks you, what do I say? Do you have any problem to tell him specifically what I say? If somebody asks you, what does Ramesh have to say?
Lots of things. But
would you have any problem?
I don't think so. I don't imagine.
What would you say?
Well, I think your basic premise is I'm not the doer. For me, every time I walk away and I'm sitting somewhere and I really see I'm not the doer.
I see.
That's the basic...
I see. And that was the basic thing. Was there something basic like that in Papaji's teaching?
I think so. For me it was.
What was that? The spotlight was on what aspect of living?
Sorry, say it again.
The spotlight was on what part of daily living, what aspect of daily living. Or he didn't take daily living at all.
No, he did. He also was, one of his main things was to, which is slightly different to you in the sense it was more a direct sort of connecting with the self, like finding in a way, who am I?
So, the question, what did Papaji want to tell me? What did you understand from Papaji's teaching? What would be the answer?
Two things. So I'm not the doer, but before that it was more to direct me back to...
No, I'm not saying what did you think was Papaji's main teaching? What was his spotlight on?
Exactly, just directing me back to who I am. And then just keep quiet with that and live your life.
So, what would you say? What did Papaji tell you to do?
Personally?
Yeah. What did you understand? Yes. What did you understand?
Well, I asked him once for advice.
Yeah.
And he
asked him for advice?
Yeah.
On how you should live?
No, I didn't ask for that.
So what did you ask?
I asked for my own spiritual inner, whatever it is, inner work, and he basically just said, just be quiet and stay home, you know, instead of getting involved and wondering with thoughts and everything around.
Did you understand what he said?
Eventually, I think.
So what did he tell you?
Well, eventually just stay home, stay with myself and be there, and instead of keep getting involved in thoughts. And
so how is that concerned with daily living? That's not. I know, ultimately,
yes.
Again and again, it is I know who has to live his daily life. So whatever they understand, ultimately, whatever they understand has to concern his daily living.
Yeah.
See what I mean? Therefore, ultimately, a self-realized man, an enlightened person, ultimately, how does he live his life? That's what it comes to.
Spontaneously, basically. That's his main thing, was whatever arose in the moment, he would act spontaneously.
Did somebody ask how he himself lived his life?
I think so, and he was just more... He was saying it was more just spontaneous, so it wasn't like a prefabricated, like this is how I live my life. Whatever arose in the moment, he acted in that situation, which was appropriate for that moment.
So, that's it. In a given situation, how did he act? What did he do?
whatever he felt like he should do in that
He
moment.
said so?
Yeah, I think so, yes. It was a spontaneous thing. He said there was no rules about how he would act. It was, in that given situation, he would act spontaneously
I see.
according to that situation.
And did he say anything about the consequences?
I think
He
he did,
would
yes.
do whatever he felt like doing.
Yes.
After that, what?
Yes, society has its consequences. Whether it's...
Therefore, how did he deal with the consequences?
Well, because...
As far as he is doing whatever he felt like doing, I agree. He did whatever he felt like doing. In other words, in order to decide what to do, he had no preconceived rules.
Yes.
Okay. Having done that, what about the consequences?
I never asked him that. But he would...
And he didn't say?
It wasn't something... He might have said, but it wasn't something I was particularly focused on at that time. I mean, he would often always say that he wasn't the doer. It was just happening through him, and neither of us were.
Yes. Therefore, he didn't do it. Therefore, did he mean he was not responsible for the consequences? He didn't do it. It happened.
What I could...
Therefore, what about the consequences? That's my problem.
What I could see, he...
I mean, he couldn't ignore the consequences.
No, what I could see in his life and what I've read about his life,
He didn't, and the teaching he didn't say?
I can't remember. It wasn't... He probably did say, or he would have said, because he was very practical. He was very practical about people working and getting on with their life, and he was always very talking about people. It wasn't just sitting in a cave somewhere, it was in the marketplace and really working and doing your duty as you need to do it, and not to worry that...
But he never got into any details to explain what he was saying?
Possibly did, but
Not in the... How many times did you go to him?
I spent about a year there, on and off at the time.
So at least 20 times?
No, about... I'd spend like 3 weeks, about 5 months.
Yeah, but there
6
is
months.
3 weeks, means 21 days.
Oh, I see, yes.
So total, you must have had at least
Oh, I've had
40, 50, 60 talks with him, meetings with more.
more.
Therefore, during all those times, what was your understanding? Do what, that is clear. In fact, I go to the extent of saying, unless everybody has the total free will to do whatever he wanted in any time and place, daily living cannot happen.
Yes.
Therefore, at any moment, anyone in the world has just done whatever he or she felt like doing. What happened thereafter? What about the consequences? As the Buddha said, events happen, these are done. Absolutely, events happen, the consequences happen.
Yes.
So my point is, the ego doer is concerned with the consequences. One ego doer says, Papa, I know that I haven't done anything. So the ego doer with the total acceptance is not the doer. Still has to face consequences
Yes.
in his daily living.
Yeah.
Didn't he talk anything about it? See what I mean?
Yes. Not as clearly as you do, I have to say. You're about as clear as anybody I've met about daily living and merging this, say, Advaita Vedanta with daily living. I haven't met anybody as clear as that.
So I'm as clear as that.
No.
Now tell me, what do I say? If I'm that clear
About what?
about this, at any particular moment, Arno is free to do whatever, and he's done precisely what he's done.
And then this...
What about the consequences?
and then...
Assume that he knows he is not the doer. He may accept that. How deep? Forget it at the moment.
Yes.
Suppose you got the total acceptance you are not the doer.
Yes.
What about the consequences?
That will just keep happening to this body and mind and
So,
ego.
during a day you've done something.
Yes.
What happens after that? Your own experience of any day.
Well,
Any day,
it'll be like if I do something and I spontaneously put my hand in the fire, the consequences I'll probably get burnt. And it's a bit for me, I see in society is a bit.
That is purely hypothetical.
Yeah.
Take an actual living day.
Okay.
You've just done something.
Yes.
I tell you what I do say. If I've done something at any moment, the important according to me is two basic facts of life. First basic fact, unless every human being has been ever since time began, unless every human being, 5,000 years ago or now or any time later, for daily living to happen, every human being has to have total freedom to do whatever he wants. You and me now, assuming we are reasonably normal people, or a psychopath. See what I mean? The psychopath too has to have total freedom. And I have to, so psychopath has just done something, I have just done something.
Yes.
After that, what happened? After that, that's fact number two. Nobody in the world has ever had any control over what happens.
Yeah.
Therefore, whether I believe I am the doer or I believe I am not the doer, I have just done something. The psychopath has done something. And what the result of our respective actions are, nobody has ever known.
Yeah. So basically you're saying that
Yeah.
you
Basically, my
no-
free will is worthless in practice.
and you don't even, and the consequences are unknown completely.
On the contrary, I don't know the consequences.
That's what I'm saying. There's no.
Therefore, fact number one, therefore I've just done what I wanted. Thereafter, neither me nor the psychopath can know what actually happened, the consequence of our action. And the consequence of our action, everybody's lifetime experience, is one of three things. Sometimes I've got what I wanted, sometimes I've not got what I wanted, and sometimes what I got was beyond expectation. Many times for the worse, rarely, sometimes for the better. Which of the three things happened? Nobody has ever had control. Therefore, if the result comes, and thereafter what? That is the real living. And the consequence after that, daily living at any time in the society in which I live. What about the society? Maybe a little limited people, in a village, the mightier ones, or anywhere. The society judges that action as good or bad according to existing social conditions and legal provisions. The society says this is a good act, Ramesh should be rewarded. Bad, Ramesh should be punished. Reward from the society means pleasure for me. Punishment from the society means pain. Pleasure, no problem. But if the society punishes me, I tell them not my action. They won't accept it. They force me to accept the punishment and suffer it.
Yes.
But I'm not the doer. What then? What will Papaji do then?
Just accept it as it is.
So he suffers the pain.
Yes, I think so.
So now, here's the point. If Papaji as an enlightened person has to suffer the pain of the consequence of his action over which he has no control,
Yes.
so does the ordinary person.
Yes.
Where is the difference are now?
Well, he's okay with it.
What does it mean?
He's like you say, he's at peace with it. He's because he knows that it's just. How can I say? For myself, if I think the difference between thinking what I think I am.
No, I've done something, society says, bad action, Ramesh should be punished. I tell them, not my action, believe me, and they say it is your action. Since I have to continue to live in that society, I have to accept the pain and I have to suffer it.
Yes.
This ordinary person also has to suffer it. But he said, yes, it is my action. He will fight you, but he has to, an ordinary person, believing it is his action, has to suffer the pain. I have the total acceptance I am not the doer, and I have also to suffer the pain. Where is the difference between the ordinary person accepting the pain because he is forced to, and me also has accepted the pain because I am forced to? I am not inviting the punishment of the pain. Where is the difference in daily living? Is that not the core question?
Yes.
Or the daily average person? Where is the difference?
Yeah.
If you also have to suffer the pain, I also. Where is the big deal in you saying, I didn't do it?
No, there isn't. Except.
And that is the core of the whole matter. That is the core of the seeker. I believe I am the doer. I suffer pain. You are totally aware you are not the doer. You also have to suffer the pain. Where is the big deal about enlightenment? Where is the big deal about total understanding?
Well, it's your perception of it, isn't it? Because you're saying that one person thinks he's the doer. So then there comes all the package of what that means. And for example, you're saying that you're not the doer. So that relieves you a lot of, well, like you say, the guilt, the shame, even the idea that I'm just this body and just this mind and all its mechanisms.
So what would you say is the difference? At the end of the day, what would you say is the difference? I have suffered the pain, knowing that I am not the doer. The ordinary person has suffered the pain, knowing he is the doer and he has accepted it. He may challenge it.
Yes.
He may try to pass the buck on. I didn't do it, he did it, or he made me do it. Whatever. He believes he is the doer. I believe I am not the doer. So, at ground level, there is the difference. The seeker says, the final understanding is, I am not the doer. In what way? In my daily living, the total acceptance of non-doer, in what way is going to help me? That is the core question. So what I tell him is, if you accept that you are being the doer, but you really don't believe in the punishment, you keep on thinking about it, how unfair the society is. They don't realize. So that conflict with the society remains in your brain.
Through time, it's time bound, instead of finishing at the moment.
Therefore the conflict goes on, adds to your conditioning. In my case, what happened? I'm not the doer. I've suffered the pain. But knowing I'm not the doer, pain I suffer and it's over. But knowing I'm not the doer, I don't carry a load of guilt and shame. I didn't do it. I did because what you did hurt a lot of people. You said something is hurt the sentiments of a lot of people. They are never going to forgive you. Therefore you are being punished. I didn't do it. Therefore, by the punishment I am forced to accept, because I have to continue to live in the society. Knowing that I didn't do it, but I didn't mean it once, but even I didn't do it. Then, while I have suffered the pain and the matter is over, I don't carry with me a load of guilt for having hurt the sentiments of a lot of people. I do not carry the load of guilt and shame for hurting a lot of other people. If I did, then this is hurt. Therefore, next time I must do it in such a way that I escape from the result. More involvement.
Yes.
I say, I didn't do it. Therefore, while I have suffered the pain which I am forced to because I have to continue to live it, the matter is over. My suffering the pain is over. After that, I don't carry a load of guilt and shame for having heard the sentiments of a lot of people.
Which means then you're always then connected to yourself, to the source.
I agree. Therefore, if there is pleasure, I certainly enjoy the pleasure. Normally what happens, the society has honored me. My action, society has honored me. Therefore, in the ordinary person, he carries a load of pride, of achievement and arrogance. 1, 2 or 3 times it happened. Pride and arrogance. And he is very hurt if he goes into a room and his presence is not acknowledged. Pride. Here, if the pleasure comes, I enjoy it. But knowing that it has not been my action, no question of feeling proud, of doing something for which the society has honored me. Pleasure I certainly enjoy. Pain I am forced to suffer. But I don't have to carry the load of pride and arrogance or a load of guilt and shame. Nor do I carry a load of hatred for the others for what they have done to me. No doer, neither me nor the other. So that at the end of the day, I have been forced to enjoy the pleasure for some action, my action or someone else's action. I enjoy it. I've been forced to suffer the pain of the moment, whether it is the result of my action or the result of somebody else's action. I have no control over it. At the end of the day, though, I do not carry a load of pride for my honor, nor guilt and shame for my dishonor, nor a load of hatred for the other for having hurt me. See what I mean? At the end of the day, I don't carry, no carryover of the days happening.
Yeah, this is the important.
This is, at the end of the day, there is no carryover of anything. See what I mean?
Yes.
So at the end of a year, 365 days, no carryover. But for the ordinary person, every day there is some carryover.
Yes.
The conditioning gets further and further later.
Which makes it more and more difficult to be spontaneous and being in the moment because you're still carrying.
That is the point. Pain I have to bear. But at the end of the day, there is no question of feeling guilt or shame. Not the slightest. Not I may have done it, no, I didn't do it.
Yes.
Otherwise, he has hurt me today. I'll never forget it. I'll remember it next time I meet him. And it's amazing how my nephew, he is now in Bombay, he's a famous pediatrician. I went to drop him at the school. It must have been 4 or 5. I was picking him up. So he tells him, wait, I'll show you tomorrow. Now I'm going to go home. I'll show you tomorrow. I'm not. I'll show you tomorrow.
He's saying that to his friend.
He's in or his enemy. You did this to me. I'll show you tomorrow what you're going to get from me. See what I mean? Same thing is carried forward when you're older. The condition, he is my friend, he is my enemy.
Yes.
I like him, I don't like him. And that's the entire way to make me unhappy.
That's the only problem, isn't it?
That is the whole problem. So now tell me, has this understanding, as far down as it has gone, affected your daily living?
You should ask here.
That's only one part of daily living.
I think it has.
No, all that. Supposing with Priya, has your relationship been any different over 10 years?
No. We are together only 5 years, so.
Yeah. So
but since we came the first time together 18 months ago, it did improve.
You have seen change in your relationship? Oh, really?
A decreasing of the judgment and projection on each other, the blaming. It still happens, there is still a lot of involvement, but the intensity is lessened.
So what you are saying is, involvement still happens, but the frequency of the involvement and the intensity of the involvement much less.
Yeah, and I find for myself, it gets cut off quickly. Sometimes something would happen and I'd hold on to it for...
That means intensity is less.
Yeah, so I don't hold on to things anymore.
Of it is less.
Yeah, it quickly breaks off.
That's the point.
I know in my past with my father and it would just hold on to something, could be for days. It doesn't happen anymore.
That is the point. That is the point. Somebody does something for you. You feel such gratitude. I don't know how I'm going to repay it.
Yes.
As much of a burden as I don't know how I'm going to. I hate him.
I have to say, since particularly last year, I've found well, I could say just more relaxing with myself.
That is the whole point.
But now and again, I see it's like if I read wrong spiritual book or I'm in the certain area, I find, this is what I actually want to talk to you about, I find I start getting into, again, the thing of acquiring, and I've done that before and it was helpful, but now it's come to a point where it's like it's over it, I'm like over it. It doesn't even help anymore. For me, it's more just to be, just relaxing.
So, let me put it another way.
Just relaxing.
Something has happened. Something has happened. A certain amount of involvement has happened.
Yes.
At the end of the involvement, what is generally your attitude? Something has happened, there's a certain amount of involvement. At the end of that, what would you say generally, how does that end? The involvement has happened.
It's seen, the involvement's seen, and then I just relax, just where I am.
So my point therefore is, what is likely to happen is, with this understanding, even if it is not total, which is important, even if it is not total, the usual reaction would be, not as my Mary said, I'll show you tomorrow.
No, it's that doesn't.
So that is it. What does it matter to hell with it?
Well, since for many years now.
What does it matter?
Yeah.
See what I mean?
Many years it's been like that. Slowly it's been, I don't care. Nothing's undone. Like I do something and if it's not done, who cares? You know, like I don't particularly care. Less and less I care.
All right, he's hurt me. I did feel hurt. I know I shouldn't feel hurt.
I still feel hurt, yeah.
But I did feel hurt.
Yeah.
Therefore, there was involvement. What does it matter? See what I mean?
Yeah.
What does it matter? Forget it. What does it? Which is the important one? What does it matter?
Yes.
Therefore, there is no addition to your conditioning. What does it? Even if the involvement happens, what does it matter?
Yes.
But I must say that like being together for 5 years and so you already knew Papa G before, of course, and for the 3.5 years together of the relationship without coming to you, because he met you but shortly.
Yes, yeah.
And for me, because I'm the one who lives with him, so I am the one who is the one who sees they get involved or he gets involved. And they were a neat change from 18 months, like even after a few days here, you know, at the beginning I was intending to stay just 3 or 4 days to check you out, basically. and go in the Himalayas, and I just stayed. And so because he was very strong, and in few days in our relation, it just changed, and that never left. Like in the sense that it really dropped a lot of guilt and
you say in the relationship something changed substantially. What was the change? That's the matter.
The decreasing of the blaming, and it's because less guilt, because less whatever, all those things who comes with the judgment.
Yeah.
And,
so he hurt you sometime during the day. I'll show you tonight.
How we don't know that, yeah.
That's true.
it really
Previously, I'll show you tonight. I have a headache.
it really lights
No, that doesn't happen.
it does sometimes, but it's really
Much
lightened
less.
the relationship. Much amazingly.
So it has helped your relationship
Oh, yeah.
to be on a much even keel.
Oh, yeah.
I,
Because I find with this non-doership story, concept, I really love it, and it does diminish this inferiority or superiority complex. Whether it's one way or the other, it's always a complex and a problem. And in both ways, whether you feel superior or inferior, and that might change during your life, but it does really help a lot.
in one word, I would say, the reaction after the total understands at any stage, somebody hurt me. It ends up, what does it matter? Even if I'm able, I know that ultimately, what does it matter? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter means no addition to your conditioning.
No, and I found it's more, it's getting to a point, it's more that somebody hurt me, it's just more, I feel pain, and then I just stay with the pain, and then it dissipates rather than the whole blaming.
Now, the pain, let's be clear, we are not talking about physical pain, we are talking of psychological pain.
Yeah, psychological pain,
So
which then ends up being
somebody says something to you, there is pain.
Yes.
Now, what is that pain, Arnold? What is that pain? That is a very, very important segment of the understanding. The pain I feel, or I felt, is a biological reaction in the body, mind, organism.
Even when it's psychological pain, this is important too for me.
No, I mean it is a psychological pain in the body, mind, organism because it's not physical. But it is, someone says something to me, that brings up anger. Reaction of the anger means pain. Reaction of the anger is actual showing, base of it is pain.
And the only difference you're saying now is that will happen, and then once that's over, it's over.
Why? Because you are not concerned.
Yes, okay.
You are not concerned. The pain is certainly felt. But the point is, no reason for you to blame yourself for feeling the pain. Why? Because you didn't feel the pain. The pain was a biological reaction over which not even the full-grown jnani has any control. And that is why even the greatest say at any time, you can see anger arising, fear arising, along with compassion arising. But the understanding is the sage knows that the fear or the anger or the compassion, he himself individually is not concerned. Therefore, as I keep saying, the man of understanding witnesses a biological reaction, positive or negative, as a biological reaction in a body-mind organism. Not in my body-mind organism or your body-mind organism. If he did, ordinary person say, he got angry. I am compassionate man. Same thing happened. There was anger in you. In my case, I felt compassion. I am a superior person. I am on my way spiritually to enlightenment.
That's a huge misconception.
Right. Therefore, while the ordinary person mistakes the biological reaction as the egoic reaction, the sage knows it is not an egoic reaction. He merely witnesses any biological reaction, positive or negative, happening in a body-mind organism. Therefore, he does not judge either himself or anyone else.
Yes.
The ego is not concerned.
And this also would be depending on that body-mind organism. It could be a body-mind organism which is a bit more emotional than another.
Indeed, that's what I mean. Therefore, if some body-mind organism more has been constructed, genes and conditioning, with more sensitivity, then there are some people are more sensitive than others. The result is, with that extra sensitivity, that particular body-mind organism and the ego concern are likely to be able to enjoy things more. With that sensitivity, they see something beautiful, they will really enjoy it much more than the ordinary person. Similarly, on the other side, extra sensitivity will make them suffer more than the other people.
Yes.
They see something happen. Somebody is hurt. These, with more sensitivity, you are in a position that will hurt more and will enjoy more also. But over which you can do nothing. With extra sensitivity or less sensitivity, not in your control. So with this, all that's happening, you keep on witnessing whatever happens. With the understanding, you keep on witnessing whatever happens. Without blaming and condemning anybody, neither yourself nor the other. Ultimately, that is the point. Okay?
Yeah, there's just one more thing.
Please,
I'd like to just bring it up.
Yes, of
it's
course.
not troubling me now. But I can't remember when, it was a while ago where the fear, actually it was even before I came to see you this time around, there was this fear, because the more I'm here, the more I'm just relaxing with and I don't care about the whole thing.
Yeah.
There's this fear that's come up. Sometimes it comes up about, it's really like, it's as if like the ego is going, well, maybe I haven't...
Now, wait a minute. What is at the bottom of the fear? The me.
Yes.
Not wanting to be hurt.
Or not wanting to miss out.
Same hurt. Positive hurt or negative hurt.
Yes.
You don't want to miss anything. Therefore, if you have a certain limited amount of money, you are happy. It means you have limited needs. Then you suddenly get $100,000, wherever, gift or lottery or whatever.
Yeah.
Then fear arises.
Yeah.
Previously you had nothing to, nobody can loot you of anything. Nobody can deprive you of anything. I don't have much. Now, you have $100,000. You are worried about the next person.
Yeah.
You are worried, where do I keep it? I keep it in the bank. But even in the bank, it is safe enough.
Which for me, it was more the other way around. It was the fear of not enough. I haven't done enough. And if I relax now, it's...
You haven't done enough.
That's
what
the
does
fear.
that mean? What are you saying? What you are saying is, you carry the load of guilt and shame for not having done enough.
Yeah, and if I stop now, I've sort of like, I'm half-baked and I've gone only halfway. The whole story, I've seen it, I've looked at it and I've explored this fear, and I just want to bring it up so you can explore it with me.
And now we are saying it doesn't happen so frequently, is that what?
No, it happened, I think even last week it came up again, and I sat down.
You said last week. What precisely happened? or no?
Well,
What precisely happened?
It was in Tiruvannamalai.
Yeah.
And I was watching all these people really doing song.
Yeah.
And then and I was just enjoying where I was.
Yeah.
And then suddenly this fear came up of like, well, maybe I should again inquire and do all
So
this.
wait a minute. Therefore,
I got involved.
there was a biological reaction.
Yes.
When you saw these people doing penance,
Basically, because I wasn't looking very happy.
they were not looking very happy. And nonetheless, you watch them going.
And then I read Raman and go, you must make great efforts.
Wait a minute. We're talking about this particular thing. You watch someone sitting in meditation or whatever they were doing. What was the biological reaction?
Well, first up, I was judging them. I was thinking, they're not looking very happy, relax a bit, But then, I read a couple of books on a few of the yanis down there, like strong sadhana and keep practicing. And then I thought, well, they're doing that, and I'm not, because I'm just enjoying where I am, and I'm just in bliss, just sitting down, and I think, well, maybe too, I need to. And that's the fear that came up. And then I at least started exploring what's this, because I knew it was actually from being happy and relaxed to starting feeling contracted, and I know something was...
Yeah. Therefore, the biological reaction was, what they are doing, I'm not doing.
Basically comparing,
Comparison with this.
Yeah.
But the first thing that happens here is when you're, even to a limited extent that you're not the doer,
Yes.
if you're not the doer, then they have not achieved anything, and you have not achieved anything either. There is nothing for you which you have not achieved. There is nothing that they have achieved, because no one to achieve anything.
Yes. No, that's the great...
No one to achieve anything. And so, one step further, if they have achieved all that, and yet they are not terribly happy, I have not achieved anything, but I am happy.
Yeah.
So first thing basically, comparing doesn't happen. Comparing doesn't happen.
No.
Why? Because comparing is based on achievement,
Yes.
personal doership.
Yeah. And it still
Once
happens.
it happens, that is the involvement. Therefore, until the total understanding, involvements are bound to happen. But even there, your experiences, the involvements may happen, they are much less frequent, and the intensity is much less.
Yes.
So you witness that also and accept the involvement. So that's the whole point.
Ramesh,
Yes, Priya.
I must say something that I feel a lot of gratitude with the teaching and with the relationship too.
Yeah.
Because the relationship constantly and in the daily living constantly show me where I am at, because I can see if I get involved in that or not. And when I am alone, like we just spent 1 week separately.
Yes.
I feel I got it. I don't feel that there is
I'm
no
sorry, I
thought.
didn't get that.
I feel so relaxed and there is so no involvement. And as soon as relationship is there, it's a very good test, because it's always someone mirroring your imperfection of, you understand?
No.
No.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, are you telling me that when you are here and Arno was somewhere else, did you feel more relaxed?
Yeah. Yes.
That's quite a confession.
No, but it's honest, because it's like I can see in daily living when you have someone with you all the time, involvement are more likely to happen.
Quite right, absolutely
Because
correct.
judgment are more likely to happen.
Yes.
And I'm saying I'm grateful for that.
So when this happened, on the one hand, less involvement. On the other hand, you missed him.
Yes.
That's the whole point. On the one hand, a certain amount of relief, no relationship, no involvement.
Yes.
On the other hand, you miss the relation, otherwise you wouldn't have this relationship. Therefore, it means both ways.
Yeah, both way. And I'm just saying the relationship. It's a good. It's a good thing because it shows you.
I'll give you a very simple indication. Therefore, if it were the other way around, only I felt so free when Arno was not there. Then, when Arno came back, you would have felt, I wish he had stayed 2 more days, but you didn't. That is the point.
Yeah, definitely.
See what I mean? If you felt really free, Arno is not there, I have plenty of space. If that was the only reaction, when Arno came back, you might have wished. I wish Arno had stayed there a couple of days longer, but it was not so. You are happy to have him back. That's the point. Okay. Right. Anything else? Not at the moment.
No, thank you. I think you.
We'll wait.
Yeah, I think you cleared it up and explained something very
But I'm
well.
glad we had this talk.
Yeah, same.
They must have cleared up some matters.
Yeah, particularly the one that you said that when the action happens, there's no carryover. That's a really important.
That is the point. That is the whole point. What does it matter? End of it.
And there's nothing I can do about it, obviously.
Sure, oh, it happened. Everything there for you happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, I forget your name.
Jelger. Jelger.
Jelga. Jelga.
Yes.
Jelga. Yes, Jelga. From Holland.
That's correct.
Yes, you are from Holland.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, now, we had a talk last time, and you heard also, you were a little bit late, but you heard.
Yes.
So on this teaching which you have had, any reactions, any questions in the last 2 or 3 days?
Yes, it's about well, giving up sometimes happens.
I'm sorry?
Giving up all wanting
Yes,
and desire, and then you feel completely happy. At least I do. At moments feel.
You mean when there is no desire,
Yes.
there is happiness,
Yes.
peace.
Yes.
So does this happen fairly often? Most of the day?
No, it happens.
But it does happen.
Happens. Not most of the day, but it happens.
But it does happen. And even supposing it's half a day, in that half a day you are enjoying peace.
And then
Now has that happened? Has that always happened?
as a child, I could somehow invoke it. I don't know how I did it, but I could as a child. I could. I tried to explain, but it was impossible. I could see. I was not Jelger, not a body, not a mind. I could invoke this experience when I was lying on my bed.
Even as a child?
Yeah, as a child I could do it.
Could you talk a little more on that? As a child,
Yes.
what was your experience during the day?
Tension, pain.
There was tension?
Yeah, during the day mostly not feeling happy.
During the game, did you say?
No, during the day,
Yeah.
there was mostly not happiness, not really.
As a child,
Yes.
you had tension?
Yes, in
How?
body, pain, I
Oh,
feel like...
body pain?
Yes.
Nothing you can do about that.
Sorry?
As a child, you were suffering pain in the body.
Yes, yes. A lot of the time.
For any particular reason? I mean, by and large, you were unwell?
No, it
You were a
was
sick child?
the circumstances, I would say. But as a child, I can't explain. I could invoke this, well, we call it the state. It's for me.
What is your business or occupation?
I don't have.
I see. Oh, you have money?
Yes.
Ah, I remember now. Yes. You're one of those lucky people.
Well, yes, I have for now.
Yeah.
You can't say about next month.
No. But in the foreseeable future, you're not worried about money.
Exactly.
About more than anyone else. In the foreseeable future,
Yes.
I don't have to worry about.
So, no. Exactly.
I see, yes. So, how many times have you come here, really? 3, 4, 5 times?
I think 7th time.
I see. So, again, on that, has there been a change in your general understanding of daily living? 7, 8 times you have come here, listened to me, and every single time I told you the very same thing. Almost the very same word.
Yes, intellectually I knew it all, and in a way
I
it
see,
was...
I see. So personally, intellectually felt that nothing revolutionary about it.
No, not.
So
But,
it's more a confirmation of what you had.
yeah, it's a confirmation about the mind says, I want this. But then intellectually you can say to yourself, yeah, you want this, but problems. Yeah? Just let it go. But I read some mystics from other mystics and say, give up everything and you get everything. Then you give up all one thing and the whole manifestation is yours in a way, and you feel happy, but then something comes into focus again, and then anger arises because you can't.
Now, you use the word anger arises.
Mhm.
What do you mean by that? You use the word anger arises. What precisely happens? Yelga, what precisely happened when you said anger arises? Did you mean sometimes I get angry?
Yeah, the body feels angry, pain, because you let go everything, and then it comes to you, like in a way, to you. You don't do anything, everything happens like you want it in a way, even more than you want it, and then you want to grasp. And then the suffering starts.
So at the moment, in your daily living, do you have any problem which you would like to be tackled?
Yeah, it's with relationships. With
Yes.
yes.
So what about the problems in relationships?
Well, in a way, there is no problem.
How do you live your life now? Do you live with some people? Do you live with your parents?
I live with my dog. In Holland.
And no, you don't have any family at all?
Yeah, I have family, but I don't live at.
You
my
live
home.
separately?
Yes.
And when you live separately, you have no partner, you have no...
No.
You live alone.
Yes.
So you are a loner. And you prefer to live like a loner. You don't need company. You don't need relationship. Is that what you're saying?
No.
A relationship has just not happened. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
So if a relationship happens, do you think you will run away from it? If
I
a
can't
relationship
say.
does happen,
I can't say it. I will see what. I must see what happens.
I mean you can't say, of course I won't.
Sorry.
I said, will you run away from a relationship has happened? And you're not telling me, of course not. I may run away.
Yeah, it may happen. It's I can't predict
I see.
the reaction.
I understand, yeah.
But I feel more ready for it than more open for it than a while ago.
I see. So you just have to wait and see what happens.
Exactly.
And that is the whole
Point. I was formulating a question to you yesterday about the fear arising. A woman comes close to you, and
who comes close to you?
yeah, a woman
Woman comes
Yes.
close to you, yes.
all the time happens, a lot of times,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
I was formulating a question to you in my mind yesterday, and then during
A
the
woman
day.
came close to you.
It happens.
But then what happened? You were formulating a question for me.
Yes.
And then a woman came near you. Then what happened?
Well, for me, kind of.
You felt uncomfortable?
Well, the question, in a way, answers itself, because suddenly I feel a lot of pain.
Not a pain?
Yeah, pain, yes.
Anyway, now, do you have any question for me? Or do you remember the question you had prepared for me?
Well, right now the question solves itself in a way.
I see. Right.
It's funny, I formulated and then, it came to me.
So there is no pestering question you have?
No, not right now.
I see.
Maybe tomorrow.
Okay, sure. No. Any question? Come. Oh, yes. Come, regular. No, why not sit here?
I'm not feeling very comfortable.
Oh, you are here? More come. Okay, go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
A long time ago I wanted to ask you a question. I'm not sure if it's important, but you say, I'm not very clear what is part of the ego and what is part of the body-mind. Like if anger is, you say, is a reaction in the body-mind. And fear also is in the body-mind. And judging is more part of the ego.
All
So
right,
to discriminate what is
Yes.
ego and what is body-mind is not very clear sometimes.
I see. See, the point is, when the ego says, I am angry, what has actually happened? What has actually happened? My point is, anger has arisen in the body, mind, organism. And the regular, what the actual point, regular sees body, mind, organism, anger arising in a body, mind, organism. If it had happened in some other case, you would have said, she was angry. Or now I am angry. So, actually, physically, what happened? My anger arises. So, if I have two ways, if I say I am angry, or I say regular is angry, or I witness anger arising in a body, mind, organ, which could be yours, mine, or somebody else's. Is that difficult to do?
No, so far I can get
No,
it.
you say when anger, you say I am angry. But suppose anger, you witness anger arising in some other body, mind, organ. That's not so difficult to that anger has arisen in a body, mind, organism. You wouldn't say she is angry or will. You will see anger arising in a body, because when someone, when anger is your body, mind, organ, you say I was angry. Or you see anger arising in some person distance away. You will see anger arising or fear arising in a body, mind, organism, making that body, mind, organism run away. That is what you would see. But if something happens close by to you, you say, I was afraid and I ran away and I saw people laughing at me and you were hurt. Therefore, you say, I don't want to feel afraid. I must do something about it. I don't want to be angry, I don't want to be afraid. And that is the involvement which makes regular hate herself. I get angry. I'm afraid. I don't want to get angry. I don't want to feel. But being afraid or being angry or feeling generous is not in your control. That is the point. Therefore, with the total understanding is a physically biological reaction. I don't despise myself. If anger arises or fear arises and makes me run away, I don't feel proud. If compassion arises and makes me give something to someone who needs it, I don't feel I'm a compassionate man. I don't feel I'm a timid man. If I'm able to see what arises is a biological reaction, over which I have no control.
But does that mean that every feeling is a biological body-mind reaction?
Any reaction,
Any feeling.
any emotional response, anger, fear, compassion, is a biological reaction.
What about feeling either
And biological reaction in this way. It is a happening. Supposing I find 4 times out of 5 anger arising or fear arising. It doesn't mean 10 times. I may not, even my experience would be 3 or 4 times anger or fear arises, but 2 or 3 times it doesn't. Therefore, the reaction is biological reaction. But the point is whether the happening happens or not, whether the biological reaction happens or does not in my control. If it were in my control, I would always get angry. I would always be afraid. I would always be compassionate. That doesn't happen. What happens is the biological reaction. Sometimes happens, sometimes doesn't happen. Therefore, I am not concerned with it. Fear may arise or it may not arise. Therefore, if you ask me, in such and such circumstances, what would you do? My honest answer will be, I don't know. In such a what would, because what the biological reaction will happen at that time, I have no idea. If I see something happening, will fear arise? I don't know. Fear may arise and make me run away. But if that happens, if fear arises and makes the body mind run away, and I see people laughing at me, what would I do? That I can tell you. I would laugh with them. I repeat, if I see something, fear arises and makes this body-mind organism run away, and I see people laughing, I would join them. Because I would also see a body-mind organism running away. Whether it's mine or somebody else's. Therefore, it's a biological reaction. But whether it happens or not, is not in the ego's control. That is why it is not his.
And what about feeling, some people are more optimistic, some people are more pessimistic?
That is based on what I call the programming, genes and conditioning.
But is it also part of the body-mind organism only?
Oh yes, it is part of the genes in the body-mind organism, in the physical part of it, and conditioning in the mind.
That's the part which is important for me. Because if it's part of the mind, you have a chance to change.
Because regular in daily living has to live with the body.
Yeah,
But wait a minute. What I'm saying is, you see someone happy, you see someone getting something, and you wanted it, you don't get it, she gets it. There is envy. Envy doesn't arise in the body, mind, organism. Envy is in the ego. I didn't get it, she got it. I worked harder than she did. She got it, I didn't get it. Envy, jealousy,
See, that's
which is not the body, mind, organism.
That's my question. What is in the ego? Envy and jealousy and what else? Judging, no?
The egoic reaction is that me as the doer is concerned. I worked harder than she did, but I didn't get it, she got it. The body-mind organ has nothing to do with it. Whereas anger arises, I have no control over it. If the understanding is that nobody works harder, I didn't work hard. The energy worked harder through this body-mind. Energy worked less hard to another body-mind organism. But the destiny of the two was different. With that understanding, no envy.
So only what has to do with doership is part of the ego. All the rest is body
That
mind.
is the point.
All the rest
Where
is
the doership is concerned, it is the ego.
and the rest is all body mind.
Because there is no doership in the body-mind organism. Body doesn't do anything. The energy functions through a three-dimensional object and brings out whatever it is to be done. Basic fact is, there is a three-dimensional object called regula. What happens? The impersonal energy functions through a three-dimensional object called regula and brings about a happening which is supposed to happen at that moment. Same impersonal energy functions through this body-mind organism and brings about another happening. The ego says, I did this and you did it. I worked harder than you did and you should not have succeeded, I should have succeeded. Envy, jealousy. Based on doership. Whereas the fact is, no one really does anything. It is the one impersonal energy functioning through different body-mind organisms and bringing about at any time whatever is supposed to happen according to the destiny of the individual concerned, God's will, cosmic law. No one really does anything. That is the understanding. With that understanding, stupid to envy anyone. Now, to take it simple, I have this body, it's a small body. I see a big body. No problem really, is it? Because the understanding is quite clear. He didn't do anything to get a big body, I didn't do anything to get a small body. That understanding is, and the same understanding must prevail in everything. Same understanding has to prevail in anything. I didn't do anything to be a small man. On the other hand, I didn't do anything to have intellect and certain much more than someone else. Therefore, whatever this body-mind organism, I had nothing to do with it. Either the smallness of it or the intellect in it. Okay. Let it sink in. Yes. Have you got your translator?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just to use.
You let them sit, please.
Of I in the human being being, is it the sense of ego, or is it the
That
sense of,
is the ego.
or is it the question is, or is it the manifestation of the source?
No, it is the ego. And what is the ego? The ego is being aware of what is happening.
The ego is being aware of what is happening.
Is able to say, I see this, I see that. Therefore, there is no question about it. Eugene sees something, I see something. Therefore, is I and Eugene, two separate individuals, is the ego. But ego is merely, what is the ego? And the answer is, every ego can only be the only reality. The only reality is consciousness or energy or source or God. That is the only reality. Therefore, the only reality is functioning through every body-mind organism. And he makes the ego think it is his action. Therefore, the ego is merely identified consciousness as a me with the sense of personal doership.
May
Yeah, please. Consciousness and the identified consciousness as me or Ramesh or you see. See what I mean? Each case, there is the same impersonal consciousness has created 6 billion identified consciousness. Every case. And in every case, one or the other prevails. One or the other. The same one, either in its impersonal state or in its identified state. And my concept is, in the waking state and in the dreaming state, it is the individual consciousness, the identified consciousness. And in deep sleep and under sedation or in samadhi, it is the impersonal consciousness prevails and the identified consciousness is in the background. In the waking state and dreaming state, the identified consciousness is in the forefront, the impersonal consciousness is at the back. In deep sleep state, it's the other way around. Yeah, and therefore, in deep sleep state, the impersonal consciousness has to be there. Otherwise, when you wake up, you wouldn't say, I slept well. How do you know? You were not there.
My comment on that.
Please.
I thought of that, and you said, if during the deep sleep the consciousness wasn't there, how would you know that you slept well or not?
Therefore,
1 minute,
yeah.
please. And my feeling was that I could say that I slept well only if I physically feel quite rested, quite relaxed. My body feels good.
you could feel the body relaxed even if you didn't sleep well.
Yes, but upon my waking up,
So
I feel a bit
then,
not really.
then you deduce that you're not feeling because you must have not slept well.
I think so.
That's the point. You deduce.
I think
The identified consciousness, not feeling well, deduces. I must have, but in
the same deduction if I sleep well.
quite
I
that's
can
the
only
same thing.
deduce.
Yes, but the point is that is a deduction, not knowing. You don't know.
I think so.
That is a deduction. I'm not feeling well, therefore I must have not slept well. That is a deduction, mental exercise. Mental exercise. You don't know. The only way you know is something has to be present. And that present is the impersonal consciousness. Therefore one or the other. One or the other has to be present all the time.
May take a couple of minutes to
Yeah, please.
Dan moeten we dus precies...
Anything. The basic truth is, the manifestation is a collection of three-dimensional objects. Therefore, whatever is happening, whatever is moving, can only be the one reality. Impersonal consciousness, impersonal energy.
But this is also a deduction or something. You can also... How do you know that?
I don't. Therefore, it's a concept. That's right.
If you don't know, why are you so confident about that?
It is a concept, my concept. My concept.
Okay.
Therefore, it's not the truth. How do I know? I don't. That is the only thing I know,
Yeah.
which is not a concept.
Okay.
I'm alive, I exist, I am, I exist. That is which is the impersonal consciousness.
But the point is, you're right that even that is a concept.
Indeed, even
It's
that
a bit
is.
difficult to understand. I am. How is it? It's a
But the fact that I am And I mentioned I am is a fact. I am is the truth. But I'm talking to you about it. This is my concept.
Let's
I
understand.
am is the fact. But I'm talking to you about that. Therefore, what I talk to you is totally different from the I am.
Okay.
I am is the truth. And when I talk to you about it, it can become a concept, my concept. Therefore, my concept about the I am can be different from somebody else's concept about the I am.
May I ask you, if hunger and being hungry, if hunger is a concept,
Hunger is a biological reaction in the body-mind organism
okay,
felt by the identified consciousness. But it is still consciousness. If the consciousness were not there in either identified hunger, would not there would be no one to feel the hunger.
surely.
Please.
Ну, там вообще там значение мысли, оно же будет сложно. Then the understanding that I'm not the doer happens to whom?
Happens to the identified consciousness. Identified consciousness, who is the identification means sense of personal doership. Therefore, basically, make no mistake, anything that happens in the world, who is concerned? The ego is concerned. Ego is identified consciousness. Who is concerned with anything? The ego is concerned.
Surely.
Therefore, enlightenment happens. To whom does it happen? It can only happen to the ego. See what I mean? Therefore, to be told that enlightenment means the total annihilation of the ego, I said that is ridiculous. It is a mistaken notion to say that the very ingredient of enlightenment is the abolition of the ego. Once enlightened, there is no more ego. That is stupid. My interpretation is, it is the ego who feels. I thought I was the doer. Now I know I am not the doer. Whatever doing happened through me, and that is the impersonal functioning through me. I am not the doer. It is the ego who gets the enlightenment with the total acceptance that he or she is not the doer. Therefore, where does the enlightenment? In the ego. Make no mistake. It is the ego who is searching for enlightenment. It is the ego who gets it with the total understanding. He has never been the doer of it, nor has anyone else been the doer. Because me and everybody are merely three-dimensional objects. The only reality is, and that reality brings about whatever is supposed to happen through whichever body, mind, organism. And we have been taking my action, your action, and therefore we have been unhappy.
That concept of doership is quite understandable.
That is the point.
But that, what you just said reminds me a story about
Please.
about Ramana Maharshi. When Ramana Maharshi first arrived to Arunachala,
Yes.
and he spent some time without really conscious,
Yes.
without caring
Yes.
about
Yes.
his body.
Yes.
And if had it not been for someone to
Yes. Please, impossibly,
Absolutely.
his body would have been dead.
he just wouldn't care. He just didn't care. I mean, it wasn't. It doesn't look like ego sitting
Therefore,
on.
therefore, it was not the ego who did anything. It was not the ego who did anything. The ego was not there. Therefore, only the impersonal consciousness was there. When Ramana sat down and said, I'm not going to move from here, that decision was made by the ego. Once he sat there, the total understanding happened, in which the ego was totally annihilated Because the understanding was, I don't exist.
But what is a doer?
Oh yeah. And
He felt that he really just...
therefore, I'm not, with the doing, the ultimate understanding happened.
I mean, I'm sorry to interrupt you. It seems that his understanding was not, I'm not the doer. That's not the understanding he had.
No, wait a minute. What did Ramana say? I'm not going to move from here.
Okay.
Who said, I'm not going to move from here?
The body mind, obviously.
Body mind cannot say or listen anything.
Well, apparently at least, I know.
Therefore, the ego said, I'm going to sit here and not move anymore. Therefore, I'm not the doer, I'm not the... By implication maybe, but that is the point. The ego, I'm not going to move. The doership was there. So
Okay.
I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to sit here and not move. Who said that? The ego did.
I wasn't present. Difficult for me to argue with you on that, you know.
No, I mean, now you say, I'm going to sit here, I'm not going to move. Obviously, it is you, the ego, who decides. After that, what happened is not in your control. After that, what happened was, the impersonal consciousness took over. And it is the same impersonal consciousness which sent a message to a yogi sitting in meditation. Because according to the impersonal consciousness, that body-mind was not supposed to die. It was supposed to be there and help thousands of people. So the impersonal consciousness sent a message to another identified consciousness, giving itself, go and feed him, otherwise the body will die.
What I'm trying to do, inadvertently perhaps, is that maybe your focal point is that who is basically each of us? Who is basically Dmitry, for example? It's one ego which has to live his life in
the circumstances in which he has been placed.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But in the case of Ramana Maharshi, it seemed to be, the approach seemed to be completely different.
In that life, he said, he could have said, I will do this or I will do something else. He said, what I will do is to sit here and not move. I am going to sit there and not move. Who else can it be but the ego?
I mean, his approach, I'm not speaking about his...
Whose approach? The ego's approach. Whose approach? The ego's approach. That's the point. The ego's approach.
It's not so clear. Maybe I have
So the ego decides, I'm going to sit and not move. But whether that was going to happen or not has never been in the ego's control.
No, that's understandable. That's quite clear.
But it is the ego who decided, I will not know.
Okay, thank you.
So, have you dropped him? What happened was, the impersonal consciousness took over.
And what happened to the ego?
The ego would have been dead with the body dead,
But then,
but the body was still alive.
so you're saying the ego sort of, what happened to the ego though? At that point when the impersonal consciousness took over?
Impersonal consciousness took over as it does normally in deep sleep.
And so if you're sitting here, and
But don't forget, the happening was a happening which had to happen in that state. It doesn't mean it could happen anywhere else.
no,
The
yes,
happening that happened had to happen only in that case.
yes. Let's say if I'm sitting here and I go into sort of a meditation, or I just go quiet and it's peaceful. What happens to the ego? Is the ego still there, or is that impersonal consciousness coming in?
That depends on the stage. If you are able to do that in the samadhi happens, then the identity has gone in the background, and the impersonal consciousness is in the front, as in deep sleep or under sedation. But the deep sleep, sedation are temporary states. In Ramana Maharshi's case, that was not there. In that case, that happened. It is a happening over which nobody had any control.
Yes. But still in his day-to-day life when he was functioning and talking,
Yeah.
that was the ego.
Indeed it was.
Except that that ego knew that it was not the doer anymore.
That is the point.
And so there was no use trying to get rid of an ego, it was just knowing that it wasn't the doer.
And there is no question of anyone getting rid of the ego. The only way the ego gets rid of is when the body is dead, because there is nothing to identify with. Therefore my point is, my concept is, there has to be an ego so long as the body is alive. Whether the body is that of a saint or anyone else. Until the very last moment, the ego has to be there. With the total acceptance that he is not the doer, or with the acceptance that he is the doer.
That point is clear. That point is fine. Every sage has to have his.
That's where I refuse to accept. Enlightenment means I don't believe it. And then quickly it seemed to me, if I were Rama, and I called Ramana Maharshi by name, would he have just walked away?
No.
He wouldn't have walked away for one reason, presuming he heard me. If he heard me, the ego, yes, what can I do for you? Therefore my point, if the sage responds to his name being called, the ego has to be there. Therefore my core focal question, if the ego has to have an ego, more accurately, if the sage also is an ego, and someone else is an ego, then what is enlightenment? How does enlightenment affect the ego of the sage? Then the answer is, the sage has an ego, the ordinary person has an ego. But in the ego of the sage, sense of doers has been rooted out.
That's understandable.
That is the only difference between a sage and an ordinary person. Ego has to be there, but the difference is not the ego being present or absent. The difference is in the ego of a sage, no more sense of doership. That is it.
Okay. Is not the understanding itself. Isn't the consciousness the understanding itself? Something like this.
Understanding is the understanding that the understanding is the only reality is consciousness. But that understanding, where is it supposed to happen? Indeed, it's supposed to happen in the identified consciousness, which is the ego.
Понимание состоит в том, что
In the ego.
obviously,
It's necessary.
which needs that understanding.
Love doesn't need any understanding.
Объект не нуждается никакого понимания.
This table doesn't need any
Вот не
understanding.
нуждается понимания, не стол не
How
нуждается.
can this object need any understanding?
Как этот объект может какое-то понимание, в каком понимании нуждаться?
I have a suggestion for Eugene.
Для тебя есть предложение у меня.
Next time a question occurs, before he attends to the question, let him ask himself, in what way will the answer to this question give me more happiness than I have now?
В следующий раз, когда вопрос возникнет какой-то, перед тем, как задать вопрос, подумай, старайся задать себе правильный.
Asking questions is not going to bring him that he himself has to understand. The answers to questions are not going to give him the ultimate happiness that he seeks. Otherwise, forget it, because we understand that is not going to bring me any more happiness.
Просто постарайся. Совершенно верно. Вопросы возникают независимо от твоего контроля, но понимая, что эти вопросы никуда не ведут, и понимая, что эти вопросы осознавать в то же самое время